Yo, Joe. Talking comics, here's your host. It's A Real American Brian.
All right, let's get back into some G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. Issue number 33. Mike Gazette gives us this great cover, and it appears Billy is going to execute the assassination plan. Celebration. Larry Hama is writing, and Frank Springer is providing the pencils. General Austin is in the pit as the Joes are preparing for the pit grand reopening ceremony. Hawk assures General Austin everything will be ready. All the Joes are shipping in to make sure it is all perfect. Except for the 3 injured Joes, Snake Eyes, Airborne, and Spirit, are all resting up in their own ways. Scarlet comes in and tells them she has been talking to the Softmaster and has learned some things about Snake Eyes' past, and they have a lot to talk about. Airborne gets up to clear out of the room. When he goes to grab Spirit, he finds that Spirit is not in the bed. Blowtorch and Ripcord are helping Spirit through a mall. He is after some more familiar healing methods. The 3 men find a florist, and Spirit begins examining the roots of the plants. Fred II and the Brocas happen to be shopping at the same mall. The kids are still creeped out by this new Fred. He looks and sounds like their dad, but isn't their dad. Spirit spots Fred and heads out of the florist after him. Back in Springfield, they are preparing for a celebration of their own, as the big rally is set to happen today. Major Blood is still busy training Billy in poetry. Baroness steps away from the poets and runs into Destro. Destro, trying to reconnect with Baroness, tells her they used to trust one another. Baroness asks him, "When have you ever trusted me?" He removes his mask, and she faints at the sight of his face. Fred II is now trying to bribe the children with ice cream when the hobbled Spirit catches up to him. He looks at Fred and tells him he just buried him in the mountains last week. He has some questions, obviously. The Broca family attacks. Heather hits him with her purse as Billy and his sister kick him in the shins. Ripcord and Blowtorch arrive too late. The Broca family are gone. In the mess hall, Roadblock and Gung Ho are working on food for the ceremony, while the other Joes on the decoration committee do nothing. Clutch attempts to set up a mud wrestling match between Scarlet and Covergirl. Covergirl tells him to drop dead. Fred dragging the kids through the mall now as he runs for the car. I guess in the 80s this didn't attract as much attention. They get to the car and begin pulling away as the Joes come out looking for the vamp. Miss Broca has something in her purse for the Joes, tosses a grenade into the Jeep and blows it up. The Joes are worried about what Clutch is going to say when he finds out about the vamp, but thankfully Blowtorch's gear survived the explosion. Just then a van pulls up and we get our first appearance of Bongo the Balloon Bear. Blowtorch changes and the Joes pile into the bear's van to chase down Fred and family. Storm Shadow reassures Cobra Commander that he has gone over the security of the stadium thoroughly and the commander will be safe. He tells him he is sincerely concerned about the commander's safety, so long as he is convinced he really knows who murdered the Hard Master. Destro doesn't like the plan to use a child to attack Cobra Commander, but Baroness tells him it's too late. Major Blood will not turn back now. The car chase continues, but it appears Cobra gave Fred some extra features to his car. He has heat-seeking missiles in the trunk. As he fires at Bongo's van, Blowtorch sets a clothing bin on fire to guide the missiles away from them. Bongo is able to catch Fred and pull alongside him. Ripcord jumps out and climbs across the car. Fred fires his weapon through the roof and slams on his brakes, dislodging Ripcord, who falls across the hood and is now hanging off the front of the car. Ripcord, still hanging off the car, begins to try and destroy the radiator. Miss Broca, hanging out the window, begins lining up a shot on Ripcord, but Spirit knocks the weapon out of her hands and grabs Ripcord, hauling him into the van. Bongo has had enough of this and pulls over to get out of the van. He tells the Joes to bring the van back when they are done. The Cobra Rally has begun. Cobra Commander begins telling all of his followers of the success of the Crimson Guard program and how they are infiltrating the country, taking it over legally from the inside. He then directs their attention to the Cobra Youth Brigade, who will be the next generation of Crimson Guard. Destro in the crowd recognizes Billy as the kid with the gun. Destro begins running to the stage. Storm Shadow sees Billy is sweating as Cobra Commander calls the youth closer to hear what they have to say. As Billy begins reciting his poem, a Cobra Trooper calls out that he has a gun. Just before Storm Shadow can cut the boy down, Destro knocks him away and gets Billy to drop the gun. Cobra Commander orders them to take the boy out back and get rid of him. Then Destro tells the commander to take a closer look at the boy, revealing that Billy is his son. What? The Joes and Bongo's van have lost Fred. Back at the pit, Duke tells General Austin they will have to begin without the 3 missing Joes. General Austin approaches the podium and begins to give his speech. The lift to the pit begins coming down, and the 3 Joes and Bongo's van release balloons out of the back. General Austin loves it, and they all adjourn to the mess hall. Later, General Austin has an important announcement concerning 8 of the Joes. Breaker, Zap, Grunt, Short Fuse, Stalker, Flash, and Scarlet. They are all going to receive a promotion. Scarlet points out that he just listed all of the original Joes except Snake Eyes. That's because Snake Eyes will be remaining operational, while the 8 named Joes take desk jobs manning the pit. The Joes aren't too happy about it. Hawk explains that they are field troops. They don't want to be behind a desk. Austin tells him that he is now the full commander of the team and commanding officer of the pit. Hawk tells Duke that he is now the top sergeant of the Joes. The Brocas make it back safely home. Ripcord returns the van to the balloon bearer, who gets in and takes his head off to reveal a beautiful young lady. That is issue 33, some big reveals, big moments, and changes in the Joe structure that will affect the team going forward. What an important issue. Billy is Cobra Commander's son. Destro and Baroness seem to be on the same page again. The pit is re-outfitted and ready to go, with the old Joes now manning the base. My favorite panel from this issue: Fred asking his new wife why she didn't fix the kids. What do I say? Your pop went off with a pair of Cobra assassins and got himself killed? But that's alright, because he was really an undercover Cobra agent all along. And guess what, kids? Cobra is replacing old dad with another dad that looks and sounds just like the old one. A little bit of sarcastic comedy thrown in there. Great stuff. Another great issue with a little goofiness, but not too much. I'm going to give this one 4.5 flag points. Can't wait to dive into the next one and see where each side goes from here. That has been issue 33. Knowing is half the battle, and now you know. Subscribe so you don't miss out on the next video where we go through issue 34.
So long from Brian. Until next time, same Brian time, same Brian channel.